Hello, everybody. I hope you guys are all enjoying your day. I do want to apologize that I did not upload yesterday. Now, there really wasn't anything to upload about unless I want to do potentially a second forecast on this system over areas into the Northeast. It really was pretty much the same forecast as I forecasted just the day before. So I didn't want to make another video on that. There was really nothing else going on, so I really had no options on what to upload on. So I just took a day off, but I do hope to get back into the daily uploading. Now, I might not even be able to upload tomorrow as well, as there, besides this big warm up, doesn't look to be too much. And then on Sunday, I'll be bringing you my weekly forecast. But after we do get a little bit of weather and we do get a little bit more severe weather to start happening, I will be definitely trying to go back to my daily uploading. I had a streak of about 65 days in a row of daily uploading, and I hope to get back on that streak and continue to upload consistently. And again, I might not be able to upload tomorrow, depending on how much there is going on. It looks like there's not going to be too much going on to talk about. So today we're going to be talking about this very warm air that is going to be infiltrating to the north, and it's going to be moving through areas into the central and eastern United States. Much of the country will be dealing with this very, very warm air, and really some areas could be getting into the 60s, 70s, 80s, maybe even some 90s showing up over southern Texas in some of the models. So we'll definitely have to see, and I'm going to be guiding you through some of your actual Fahrenheit temperatures as well as your temperature anomaly forecast, and then we'll be looking at a couple of outlooks from the Climate Prediction Center. So here is your current National Weather Service. We do have some frost or some freeze watches in effect for areas to South Carolina, North Carolina, and into parts of coastal Georgia. Winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings for the mountainous terrain of Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia, and West Virginia, as well as some hydraulic statements over areas into Minnesota and into also North Dakota. We also have some there for Arkansas, into northern Alabama, and also for southern Louisiana and southern Texas. Winter weather advisories for the first time in quite a while over areas into California and Oregon, getting a little bit of mountain snow there, as well as there for Idaho. Red flag warnings there for Nebraska. Other than that, quite quiet except for those wind advisories there in the southeast for Alabama, Georgia, and into South Carolina, as well as the Appalachians. So here's what the current satellite looks like, and this is giving you a good representation of what's happening in the upper air. You have this stream of moisture that's coming in through areas into Mexico, from the Pacific through Mexico, and then into about Texas and through the South Central United States. And that's really bringing in some pretty warm air that's being driven from areas into Mexico, and that's being put currently over areas into the Central United States. A bit cooler than average right now, actually, over areas into the southeast. It is definitely going to be overtaking this warm, or this cold air mass is going to be moving out. This warmer air mass is going to actually come and kind of replace this and move and take over it. And much of the eastern 2/3 of the country is going to be quite warm. You see this quite quiet pattern. That's because of a high pressure that's in place over areas into the central United States. We still see a little bit of snowpack actually popping up on the satellite imagery, but definitely I think a lot of that will actually melt as we continue to go through. A lot of these areas will get above freezing, and snowpack will definitely melt over the north, and you'll see definitely some very warm and above average temperatures heading into the eastern and central United States. So here's what the European model is showing as far as its temperature anomalies. Then we're going to go to the GEFS, the GFS ensemble model, just to give you a bit of ensemble support to show this isn't just one model, and to show that multiple models are actually agreeing on this pattern upcoming. So you currently have this warm air over areas into the western United States, but this warm air is going to be definitely transferring itself to the east. We have this cold air. Again, I said that while we were looking at the satellite imagery, we do have some colder air actually over areas into the southeast. Now this is definitely going to be moving out, strengthens a little bit, but then it gets overtaken by some very warm air. Now these oranges and yellows are indicating about 1 to about 10 degrees above average. As you get into the reds and the darker reds, that's 10 to 20 degrees above average. And now as you get into the grays, that's over 20 degrees above average. And this is all in Fahrenheit. When we do go over to the GEFS, the GFS ensemble, that will be in Celsius. So you do have to take that into account. So you have this very warm air that's over areas into the north central and Great Lakes states. And this is just one model representation. We're going to look at some ensemble support so that you do get a little bit of backup on what I'm talking about. Now, this would be by Monday, and now getting into Tuesday. Still very warm. Much of the country actually in a blowtorch pattern where you have some very warm air just overtaking much of the country. Very warm air for the eastern United States Tuesday, Wednesday now, and now getting to Thursday of next week. This would be the 12th. Now getting onto Friday the 13th. So you're seeing some very warm air still popping up over areas into the central United States, and as we continue this warm air just really persisting, and I just want to go through this now. It's not exactly going to play out like this, but it gives you a good representation that the models are picking up on this pattern, kind of locking in place, and you have this very warm air that looks to overtake, and you actually potentially could see a little bit of a breaking in the pattern later on. Later on the model one, this European model wants to show some colder getting in on the backside through the west. We'll have to see how that does play out. Now, here's what the GEFS model wants to show. Now, this is an ensemble model. It's a mixture of about 30 models. Forget the number, 30 to 40 models, but definitely a large quantity of models. And this is all being combined, and this is kind of an average of what they're showing. So the deeper red colors or the deeper red or the deeper blue colors are indicating their confidence. So as you see, over areas into the Rockies and the central United States, they're showing some some very deep reds. That's indicating that these models have a very high confidence in this happening. So this is a good indication that you'll have really a good indication of how confident we are in this. Now, this would be by Monday. Very high confidence over the eastern United States, and you see it continues, persists, and something that astounds me with this is just how persistent this pattern is, just staying in place, and pretty much the same areas, really the central United States getting hammered with this very warm air, and you'll see a couple of breaks here and there if you live on the eastern seaboard or if you live out in the west. But if you live in the central United States, looks to be a blowtorch throughout March. Now we'll just move it forward a little bit more, and you see very warm air continuing, and as we get 300 plus hours out, usually you only see these lighter shades of orange and yellow as the models aren't as confident in this happening. When you have some of these, this ensemble, averaged out model showing about 8 to 12 degrees Celsius above average, that means they're extremely confident for 378 hours out to be showing some very warm air, and this would be by the middle of March. So really any snow chances, if you live pretty much south of about Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the Dakotas, and then as you get into upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, are pretty much diminished if this pattern does actually play out. It's just going to be way too warm, except you could get a little bit of breaks in the patterns, maybe a little chance here or there, and you could potentially get a storm or two out, but definitely doesn't look like any big snow events on the way for anywhere pretty much south of this northern tier of the United States. Now, here's what the Climate Prediction Center is showing. This is your 6 to 10 day outlook, and this is in percent chances, but definitely the higher the percent definitely correlates with some higher, with some very warm air that looks to set up. You see some very warm air set up over the eastern United States. Now, this is 6 to 10 days out, so this is from the 12th of March, which would be next Thursday, all the way until Monday, the 16th of March, and they're showing very warm conditions, anywhere in those yellows, oranges, or even getting almost into the pinks. A little bit of below average there for areas into the northwest, but definitely not even going to be too noticeable as you get over there. Now, here's your 8 to 14 day outlook, and this is going from the 14th of March all the way until the 20th of March, and you're seeing pretty much the same pattern, except that warm kind of the cold kind of spreads over the west, warm spreads over the east, and it kind of weakens a little bit. Their confidence goes down, but of course this is a little bit farther out, so their confidence is of course going to go down a little bit farther out. They're still showing over a 70 to 80% chance if you live anywhere in this region. I'm shading in right here. This is a 70 to 80% chance of seeing some above average conditions. So it's just a very blowtorch pattern, very warm conditions that look to set up. Here's your 3 to 4 week outlook from the Climate Prediction Center, and you see in these oranges, you're saying about 50% or more chance of that, and they rarely put out this 70% chance 3 to 4 weeks in advance. Now, this will be going from March 21st to April 3rd at this point, and you're seeing these 70% above average conditions for the Great Lakes and Northeast, a little bit below average there for the West, but their confidence in that is quite low, but definitely just indicating how very warm it is going to be over these areas, over the eastern and central United States over the next coming coming weeks and days. So let's get into your actual Fahrenheit temperatures. What is this going to correlate to as far as your actual temperatures that you're going to feel? Now here's your low temperature for tomorrow morning, and you're seeing 30s, 20s for the eastern United States. Really hasn't kicked in yet, but as we get into your low temperatures on Sunday, they're still pretty cold, but as you get into the central United States, this is when it really starts to warm up. Now let's look at some of your high temperatures. Now this would be by Sunday, the 8th of March. Look at these very warm temperatures. Minneapolis getting to about 60 degrees. That's almost unheard of for early March. You guys should be probably in the 40s, I'm assuming by this point, 30s, 40s. So very, very warm air, and even some 70s popping up in Nebraska, Kansas, Colorado. So definitely very, very warm pattern, and very warm over much of the central United States, even getting into areas into the east. Now here's your high temperature for Monday the 9th, and you're seeing 60s, 70s across the eastern seaboard down through the deep south, 80s and 90s in those darker reds, 85 to 90 degrees in the darker reds. So just very, very warm conditions, and I'm going to be covering this in my weekly forecast definitely. So that will be coming out on Sunday. We do those every Sunday, and I do hope to get a little bit more consistent with my uploading. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to put out a forecast tomorrow. It's basically nothing going on pretty much weather-wise except for this warm-up, and I will be doing a little bit more coverage on this warm-up, and of course any severe weather. I've already made a couple more severe weather graphic packages that'll be coming out, and those will include different parameters and all that. So definitely I'll be showcasing those in my videos to give you a little bit more in-depth coverage on what I think is going to happen in terms of your severe weather this severe weather season. I've already prepared my hurricane graphics, and I'm working on those currently. So I definitely have a lot of plans for this channel, and I hope we can keep on growing this channel. Now that is going to wrap up the video. Please consider subscribing, leaving a like on this video, and turn on notifications so you never miss a video when I do upload. Anyways, guys, that was Eli the Weather Guy, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.